Hello everyone, welcome to the Gateway 4 helper. This is Mr. Rafkiem. Let's talk a little bit about order of operations. First of all, this is called the GEMA helper. Remember that GEMA means, here, let's switch the marker here. There we go. Grouping, exponents, multiplication, addition. Remember and the reason we say there's no, if you're saying, wait a minute, where's division and subtraction? Well, division is multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay? Or keep, change, flip. Subtraction is really just adding the opposite. Or as we sometimes call it, keep, change. Okay, so let's try a couple of these. By the way, when I say groupings, for now in your mathematical life, it's usually just parentheses. However, as you get to further levels of math, it will be different groupings, not just brackets, but square roots and things like that. That's why when you just say parentheses, it's not totally accurate. So groupings. For now, it's usually going to be parentheses, though, especially just for Gateway 4. All right, so let's look at one. Let's remember what we learned in Gateway 2 for keep, change. So why don't we go ahead and take a stab at number 5. There it is. And let's remember with this, there's 3 different numbers, so we're going to keep, change. But let's look at what the 3 different numbers are first. So we have -5, -7, and -7. So if it helps you to rewrite them, like I talked about in Gateway 2, rewrite it with the negative up top, or towards the top as a superscript. The math typewriter, when the math programs printed out, they will typically put the negative in front, just like we talked about last time in Gateway 3 video. So for here, get in that good habit. And if it's straight up simpler for you to just rewrite it real quick, do it. Just make your life easier. And look what we have here. We have subtraction. So we know that subtraction is just adding the opposite, or keep, change. So that means that we are going to keep, let's do it with red. There we go. We're going to keep, change. But then we're going to keep, change here as well. So we're going to take that original number, we do purple, and we're going to keep, which is now +7, keep, change. Let's rewrite it just to be nice and neat and be clear on exactly what we're doing. Do you have to rewrite it? No, but hey, the amount of times you need to retake it, take the extra 3 seconds to rewrite it, so you don't make silly mistakes and have to redo this gateway all over again. Get it right the first time. The beautiful thing now is we have addition. So with addition, you can add in whatever order you want. It's -5 plus +7 plus +7. It honestly does not matter what order you add in, whatever you want to. It honestly doesn't matter. So why don't I add -7 plus 7? I know that. That's going to be 14. So I know those add together to get 14. And then -5 plus 14. So if you've been practicing from Gateway 2 adding integers, we know that -5 plus +14 is going to be +9, because adding is walking. So starting at -5, walk 14 steps to the right, you're going to cross over 0 and end up at +9. Yay? Fabs. Let's look at and if you want to be awesome, you can circle your response. Let's look at number 7. So number 7, we don't need to keep, change, because we already have addition. So we have 3 numbers, and we're adding them. I'm going to rewrite this anyway, and the reason why is because I want to move those negatives signs up. So a lot of students always ask, is this a minus or a negative? They're kind of the same thing, but let's clear up that confusion and rewrite it the way we want it, with that negative as a superscript up top. Now we got what we want. Again, you can add in whatever order you'd like. If you want to add the negatives together first and then the positives, fine. If you want to add this to 1 plus negative 3 to get negative 2, fine. What do I want to do? How about I do this? How about I add the negatives, and then I'm ahead of negative 6. And then if we've been practicing, we know that 4 plus negative 6 is going to give us negative 2. Starting at 4, walking 6 steps to the left, you're going to cross over 0 and end up at negative 2. Boom. Let's skip to some of the ones on the other pages. Oh, nope. I want to try this one really quickly because this is an interesting question. So we know, so you might say this one is relatively easy. So I want to use it as an example because you're probably saying, wait a minute, I know I need to do this first. That's just 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. And you're totally, absolutely right. But let me use this example to show you why keep, change, flip actually works. So the example I'm going to show you, this is probably an overly complicated way to do this question, but it's going to work. It's going to help you out later on. So check this out. I'm going to rewrite everything. 2 plus 5. I'm going to keep, change, and then I'm going to flip this. So when I say flip this, I don't mean that I'm going to write it like this. That's not what I mean. I mean, I'm going to take this fraction and flip it. So what that means is that this is actually 5 is actually 5 over 1, right? So if I flip 5 over 1, I'm going to have 1 over 5. So again, what's 5 times 1/5? You may not know that in your head, but if you remember from last Gateway video, if you are multiplying fractions, you have to multiply the tops and the bottoms. So if you don't have a fraction, you make one. 5 as a fraction is 5 over 1. And so if we multiply this 5 over 5, which is 1, and then we get 3. Now if you're saying, wait a minute, that's way too complicated. I know that 5 divided by 5 is 1. Totally agreed. All of this that I wrote here is probably an overly complicated way of attacking this particular question. But the reason I mention this is because it does work. This keep, change, flip thing is the same thing as dividing. That keep, change, flip is going to come in very handy later on. So let's take a look at some more complicated ones. Let's flip the page. Here's a good one. Whenever you see parentheses, here's another good habit to get into. Get in the very, 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 very good habit. When you see parentheses, you're always multiplying. So, let's see, we're going to write this. Here we go. Almost always. There's a couple situations where it doesn't. And you must have 2 numbers to multiply, right? 2 numbers to multiply. So let's look back over here. Now, wait a second. So parentheses means multiply. I need 2 numbers to be able to multiply. Well, what number am I multiplying? It's not negative 3 because we have negative 3. Our operations here are subtraction. So wait a minute here. Let's rewrite this the way we want to do it. But first, we need to be multiplying by something. What are we multiplying by? Well, every number, every time in math there's a parentheses, there should be a number written out front. If there isn't, it's there. People just didn't write it because they were too lazy. So we know that this is going to be 1. So let's take everything from let's rewrite the negatives. Let's rewrite this our way to make it safe. Because now in addition to this, we also know we need to keep, change. And over here, we need to keep, because -6 is a number, as is +2. So we need to keep, change that. So let's rewrite it so it's not so crazy looking. Boom. Now, we know from GEMA, groupings is first. So we got to simplify what's inside the groupings first. Get in the good habit of writing everything exactly as it's written, except for the part that you simplify. So -6 plus -2, if I'm starting at -6, walking 2 steps left, I'm getting -8. There are no exponents, so I'm going to skip to multiplication. Now, what am I multiplying? Well, I'm multiplying these two numbers. -1 times -8. Well, if the first number is negative, it changes the sign of the second number. If the first number is positive, it leaves the sign of the second number alone. So -1 is negative, so it's going to flip the sign of the second number. So 1 times 8 is 8. That -8 is going to become +8. Boom. And then now, we know that -3, if I'm starting at -3 and walking 8 steps to the right, that means I'm going to end up at +5 is where I'm going to be at. Okay, that's a good one there. Let's talk about some of the ones that deal with, let's skip, exponents. This is a very good one. So let's do what we just talked about. Let's put a 1 in front, because if there's not a 1 in front of a parentheses, there needs to be. And then let's also look at what are numbers and what are not. So we got 3, we got -5, and then we got 1, which we just wrote in. And then our operations are the subtraction. This is a -5, so we only have one operation outside the parentheses. So we have 2 operations, subtraction and multiplication here. So what that means is we've got to keep, change, and then we're going to rewrite that -5 as with our superscript like we want to. So let's rewrite it our way, the safe way. The way that's going to, oops, I forgot one, sorry. There we go. Good, and we're going to make that -5 here and to the second power. All right, that's our way. That's the way we write it to make it less confusing. So let's do groupings. So G for GEMA. Is there anything we need to simplify inside the grouping of the parentheses? Nope, just -5 is -5. Good. Let's perform exponents. The exponent is going to be performed just on what I've highlighted in green. So what are we raising to the second power? Just that -5. So -5 to the second power is -5 times -5, which is +25. And again, everything that you didn't do anything with, leave it alone. So we just -5 times -5 is +25. Now we're going to multiply these two. So -1 is negative, so it switches the sign of that +25 to a -25. Good, and if I start at 3 and take 25 steps to the left, that means I'm going to cross over 0, and I'm going to end up at -22. Okay, let's once again flip to the very last part. There's a lot of really good stuff here. Let's skip to one more of the ones with the fractions. Some of these are kind of gnarly, but I think we're smart and we can handle it. Let's see here. What one do I want? I like this one. 23. That's a tricky one. So first thing, is there anything we need to rewrite? If you remember from Gateway 3 video, this should be rewritten. So we're going to rewrite that and put that up in the top in the numerator, just like we did in Gateway 3. Let's check in the bottom. Do we need anything, any keep, change issues? It doesn't look like it because we just have, or keep, change, flip. We only have multiplication and addition, so we're good. So our numbers are -2, what is going to soon be -4, 4, and 4. And then our operations are addition and multiplication. So let's see what we got here. Let's rewrite it first. So I'm going to move that negative up. There we go. And then I'm going to rewrite first. Take the 3 seconds to rewrite it. It doesn't take long. when you have a fraction, you always simplify the numerator, almost always simplify the numerator and the denominator separately, then deal with them together. So -4 is good to go. In the denominator, we have multiplication and addition. So let's see here. So we're going to go grouping symbols, nope. Grouping symbols, nope. Are there any exponents? Nope. Are there any multiplication? Yes. So -2. So what we're multiplying is that -2 times 4, and that +4 is going to stay away. So that -2 times 4, remember, -2 switches the sign of that +4 to negative, so it's going to be -8. And then that +4 we didn't really do anything with. Cool. Let's -8 plus 4. Now we're on to addition. So we have -4. -8 plus 4 is going to be -4. Now, if you look -4 over -4, hopefully you can see that that's the same thing over the same thing. So that's going to be 1. Cool. And that is the gist of it. There's some complicated ones on here, so make sure you're sticking with keep, change, keep, change, flip. Rewrite these to make them less confusing. When you look at a lot of these, there's a lot going on. This is one of those gateways. Do not try to take shortcuts. You're just going to, because trying to take a shortcut and save yourself, 30 seconds? And then have to take another 20 minutes to redo it again because you made a silly mistake. That just doesn't make sense. So take your time on these. Make sure you're rewriting them where they make sense. Move the negatives up like we talked about. And